It's time for another Inspiration Friday project, and today we are going to be cutting wood with our Cricut Maker and making these darling stocking tags. So stay tuned and we will get making. So to start out to make these cute tags, you need a few supplies. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be working with wood today on our maker. And I will show you a few more of these finished products when we get all done. But what I wanted to start out with is to tell you there's a couple different types of wood that cut really nice with the Cricut, some quicker than others. Lessons learned here. I'm trying to let you guys learn from my lessons. This balsa wood I picked up at Joann's, and it is 1 by 1/16 by 4 by 3 feet. So it's a nice size wood. Basswood is another one that you can use, and it's about the same thickness, but it comes in more of an 8.5 by 11 sheet. I will tell you, when I've used the basswood, which is a thicker wood, your cuts can take close to an hour. So I decided that I really like this balsa wood, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's BALSA, and it cuts much better. And then if I want my finished product to be a little bit firmer, I will put a varathane finish on it. So what we're going to work on today is I've got a friend that wants some tags for stockings for her husband and her and their new puppy. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on that. So I wanted to show you what I'm using first, and then we'll jump into Design Space so I can show you how to do that also. So this wood, like I said, it came in a 3-foot section, so a pretty big section. So what I did is I went ahead and I cut it down. And so right now it is 8 inches by 4 inches. My design is 3.5 by 7.5, so this will be a nice size. The other thing you need for this project is you do need the knife blade for your maker. And I will tell you, one of the reasons why I like this balsa wood better is I've broken 2 other knife blades on the thicker wood. So I've determined, at the expense the blades are, I'm going to stick with the lighter wood. The other thing you're going to need is you definitely are going to need a strong grip mat. And so that is the purple mat. And then the other thing you're going to want is you're going to want some painter's tape. So let's go ahead, and we might as well just get our project on our mat, and then I'll take you over to Design Space so you can see how you're going to pick your how you are going to set that up and pick the wood design. So I like to put it a little bit further in on my mat. So I'm coming down and I'm starting at the 1 by 1 square, and I'm pushing on it very well. And then what Design Space, and this will warn you inside Design Space, and we'll be able to see this when we get in there, is it wants you to tape down. It doesn't want to take any chance of this wood coming up. And I will tell you, with this wood, the blade cuts through even the tape. So if you overlay a little bit too much on the tape, you're perfectly fine. So just make sure you have that nice and secure. Okay. And so we'll be ready once Design Space is ready for us. I'm going to go ahead and I'll bring up my maker so you guys can see it a little bit better. And I am going to put my knife blade in, so it goes in the second spot, and I'm just going to secure that right in. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn on my maker, and let's hop on over to Design Space now, and we will show you how to line up the design, because we need to make sure we do it just right on the mat, because remember, we put our wood in a specific area of our mat, so we want to make sure we have that right on Design Space. So let's hop on over to Design Space, and then we'll come back here when we're ready to cut. Okay, so now we're in Design Space, and you can see I have my design. Now, one thing I want to caution you on when you're looking at designs to cut
is to make sure that it is not too thin. Now, I may have a font here that is a little bit too thin, but we're going to cut it and see how it works out. So just really look. Rule of thumb is a eraser head size of font is what you should have, or spacing. But we're going to go ahead, and I've got this sized up, just like I said, it's 7.5 by 3.5. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to click the Make It button. And then it is going to go over, and from that standpoint, there we are. It's going to come over, and then we want to move it into the same location that we've got the wood taped on our board. Now, I like to always cut cross grain, and so that is why I'm cutting it sideways also. So remember, we started in that 1 by 1 square, and so I'm just going to center it in there so that it's in the exact same spot, and just give it a little bit of space around it. So this works out really well. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be continuing on to pick the type of wood that we're going to be using. So we'll go ahead and click the Continue button, and it is finding my maker right now. I've got mine hooked up by Bluetooth. And then what we want to do is we want to go in and browse. Now, I normally just put wood, and this will give you a selection of the different types of wood that you can use. And this is where I picked, remember I said it was the 1/16, so we're going to select that. Now, I've also used that basswood, and that's the one that I had some trial and error on, and I went through a few blades. So move back to this other wood. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And then once we select it, the Cricut is going to, or Design Space is going to tell us to make sure we put that blade in the B clamp, and we're going to select our Start button. So let's hop back over to the mat, and we will move on from there.
Okay, we're back over at the mat, and my load button is flashing. And now one other thing I didn't mention before is anytime you're working with the wood, these little roller wheels that normally you've got them spread out on your mat or on the bar, you want to make sure they're all the way off to the side. You do not want these to be running over the wood at all. So I've moved those all to the side. We definitely have the knife blade loaded. I'm going to pull out just a little bit more. I want to make sure I have enough room in the back of my machine, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the load button. Now, what I've found with this wood is it takes about 4 passes to do the design, to cut the design. When I have used the basswood, it has taken 14 passes, and even then it had not cut all the way through. So another reason why, depending on your timing, this one works out really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and just let this cut, and when it is done, we will come back and take a look at it. Okay, Cricut is telling me that this is all done. And one of the things that you guys will see in Design Space when you do this is you do get the option to go again. And so you don't want to unload your mat totally, but I like to just bring up my tape, and you can already see, maybe you guys can't see, but I can see that I am pulling up and I am definitely ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and unload. And we're going to move back my maker, and so we can see this. Now, you want to be really careful removing your tape. It's not super thick wood, remember, and so we don't want it to break. Okay, and you can see where I've got a few little pieces of tape. You should be able to see it, and it cut through just fine, and so I'm going to peel those off once I get the tape unstuck from my fingers. And now I like to use my Cricut, I like to call it a little palette, to lift up. Just be very careful, it's delicate, right? And so we're just going to, like pieces of a puzzle. You can see that. This is so cute. Now we got a super thin area right here, probably thinner than I should have done. In fact, I can already see I'm going to have issues with that one. But to show you guys how cute that turned out. That right there is going to be really weak for me. So lessons learned, you guys. The font I used here, I was worried about this right here, but in reality, this guy's going to be way too thin for me. So I think I'm going to redo, yep, look at that. See what happened? So I'll pick another font and cut this one again. And then what we'll do is, I also wanted to show you, and I'll come back with the finished cut on this with another one. But I did want to show you one thing I had forgot is my friend had wanted these to be silver. So I am going to use this Rustola Hammerhead paint. And this is so cool because it really looks like it's metal. So this will come out looking like it's actually a metal piece. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a coat of the urethane, I think I keep calling it urethane on it, which will make it even stronger. So I'll be right back with this cut in a thicker font, and then we'll move on to finishing our project. Okay, so let's see if this font turned out a little bit better. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did the other one. Is I want to remove my tape because Design Space is giving me a chance to continue to cut if I need to. And once again, this is lifting right off, so we are good to go. So let's go ahead and move back my maker, and we'll remove our tape. And just like we did before, much better. And you can see everything is just coming out perfect. So take my little knife there and poke that through. And how cute is that? So what I'm going to do now is I am going to take this out to the garage, and I am going to put that spray paint that I showed you guys before on it. And first I'm just going to take off these little pieces of painter's tape. So I'm going to go ahead and paint it with the silver paint. And then I'm going to put a coat of the urethane on it once the paint is dry. And it will be ready to go. Now, one thing I have been doing, as you can see in my finished one, is at the Dollar Tree, I had picked up, actually it wasn't the Dollar Tree, it was Walmart. At the beginning of when they put all the Christmas stuff out, I grabbed a whole bunch of these buffalo plaid bows. And so I just thought that looked so cute. And I literally just used the wire from it to hook it, and then just used a safety pin inside the stocking. So go ahead and go get this spray painted, and I will show you a picture of the finished product.
And here we are, the finished product. So I did do the spray paint on it, and then I put a coat of the urethane. And here is a video of the other ones that I had put together. So thanks so much for joining me for another Inspiration Friday. I hope you liked this project on stocking tags. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and click the bell to be reminded each time I upload a video. Also, hop over to my blog at funstuffcrafts.com and check out my other tutorial videos. If you have any questions, please add a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And thanks again for joining me for another Inspiration Friday project.